Old Hat, New Hat is brought to you exclusively by AGI. Grain handling, grain storage, grain leadership. AGI brings it all to your farm. Learn more today at aggrowth.com.
This month, we've talked about the changing landscape of grain storage, including the lessons passed from one generation to the next. Our series, Old Hat, New Hat, wraps up with a reminder from a Kentucky farmer to always respect the bin and focus on safety first. These are the precious moments Doug Omer nearly missed.
We thought we were being safe and we let our guard down for a second and it almost cost me my life.
May 4th, 2022, Doug and his father Mike started the day hauling a couple of loads of corn. The first load went perfectly, and Doug spent a few minutes at the top of the bin waiting for the truck to get back.
The bin was a little over half full. We were kind of on red alert. We had a little bit of a scum coming on top of the bin. With all the safety devices, we was afraid to get down over one of the floor holes and choke it up. So I had a piece of 1.25 inches, 20 foot long, but a little scum would come down and I'd just smack it and watch it disappear.
When I pulled in on second load, he was sitting up on the nest. I said, I'm going in the bin. I said, okay.
Typically, just an 8-minute job. Doug eased into the bin to watch for clumps that might clog up the works. A rope was there, but he didn't tie off.
I guess we'd run probably 20 seconds and I hear this shh. What is that? And I turned around and here it come. Well, I was somewhere top of my boots in the corn, and when it hit me, it took me about to my bottom of my pockets and moved me about 20 foot right over the hole. I was right there. I was one sheet over that, right there. Oh, wow. We weren't too far apart. He was hearing me.
I heard a big bang and I thought a bucket come off the leg.
And I'm not real smart, but I knew I didn't have enough Doug hanging out for 8 minutes. So I'm beating on the bin. Well, it's getting up in here and starting to kind of mash life out of me. And me and Jesus had pretty damn good talk. And I thought, this is how you're gonna die in this freaking bin. Damn bin full of corn, this is how you're gonna leave here. So I got my arms and got me a big breath, and I just, with every ounce of my being, I started beating on the walls.
Then I heard another bang, and I knew a bucket hadn't come off the leg because I'd already shut the leg down.
I got down to about right in here, and I had already laid my head back to give me a few extra seconds, and I hear it most every night, that breaker kick on top. It's kind of a shoom.
Everything stopped. Doug was trapped, buried, and fighting for breath as the pressure squeezed the life out of him.
It's 66 steps. He's 72 or 3 years old. It seemed like split second he was up there. Our cell phones are terrible right here. He said, you're in bad shape. I said, I'm in bad shape. He goes, I'm coming in. I said, you can't come in. I said, the phones don't work anyway. You come in here, I'm a dead man. I said, you're gonna bury me when you come in here. You gotta stay outside.
Instead, Mike called 911.
Hello, 911.
We got him uncovered and he did up, but we can't get him out.
We tied the rope onto him and we gave him two real good tugs, and we couldn't even shake him.
I wanted to call my wife. She owns a flower shop right beside the fire department.
I answered it and it was Doug, and he said, I just called to let you know that I'm drowning in the grain bin. And I'm like, what? And he told me again. And he said, I just want to call and tell you I love you.
I said, I'm hung in a bin. I said, if things go bad, tell grandkids and kids that I love them and I love you.
That started a 6-hour race to save Doug's life as more than 200 emergency personnel, neighbors, family, and friends worked to pry him from death's door. Crews brought bin rescue tubes that they had trained on just the week prior.
Them tubes are only 28 inches wide, so I'm pretty snug. And they went to digging.
A battery-powered cordless drill drove a 3-inch auger pulling grain slowly out of the tube. 2 hours went by.
Well, when they had moved me, I'm sitting about like this. Come to find out, I wouldn't fit in the tube. They hit my right kneecap.
They added a second set of tubes and went back to work. Doug needed IVs and oxygen. By hour 5, he was ready to do anything to shake free.
I wanted to cut my legs off. I told him, I said, you bring me in here, I know he took blood. I know the helicopter's here. I'll end this. So I'll just stick it down in there and cut till something pops off. Y'all work on one, and when we get that deal, I'll cut the other one, we'll leave him. I was hurting that bad.
You're in fear because he's in there so long. You was in fear that he may lose his legs. You know, he may come out alive, but he may lose his legs.
They were going to cut the bin if I fit in the tube and let it suck me out and try to dig me out. I'd had 25 minutes of oxygen. They had enough manpower here, they was going to just let me hit the ground. I wasn't for that. But when I didn't fit in the tube, they said it would dismember me and I'd bleed to death before I suffocated. So that took that out.
Back in the bin, with enough corn moved away, a team of 3 grabbed Doug's harness and pulled.
And I went screaming, you move me, you move me, you move me, and instantly it hit me again. They moved me about 6 inches. Well, they felt that. Again, they hit me a third time. Well, the third time, I'm standing up inside the tube.
His hips, knees, and ankles were dislocated and had to be pushed back into socket. Then he worked his way to the top of the bin.
Everybody started cheering, and it took him a while to get down the steps, but he walked down each step.
Tell me about that moment.
Glad he's alive.
His family met him at the bottom as he was ferried to a life flight helicopter standing by in a field near the bin. While in the air, his body went into shock from the hours of pressure. It was like he'd been deep sea diving for 6 hours.
I run my hand up in there, this headset, and it was full of blood. And I looked at Lainey, she's sitting right here, and I said, this can't be good.
The helicopter dropped as low as possible, and doctors rushed Doug into the hospital. His joints were reset, his vitals monitored, and at 11:30 p.m., he walked out of the hospital and headed for home.
Come here, Pumpkin.
2 years later, the gift of life continues, thanks to hundreds of unnamed hands.
Everything just worked out so perfectly. And you don't think your hometown people can be heroes? But they was our heroes that day.
And if you ask them their advice for other farmers working around grain bins,
Don't think it can't happen to you, because he was 54 years old. He's around them all of his life. And it's that one instant that almost got him.
Just stand back and look at it before you bail in there. I mean, most farmers, they're all self-employed, and you get wound up and get in a hurry.
taking time to think about safety, even on small jobs, could be the difference between a quick end and a long and happy life. And our thanks to the Omer family for sharing that story with us. And that's it for Ag Day. From all of us here, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great and safe day out in farm country.